Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms. We invest in real estate for lots of reasons: cash flow, equity growth, tax benefits. But what about retirement? Real estate can be an excellent tool to build your retirement income. And if you do it right, it can be tax-free. Today, we'll talk about retirement riches with real estate. And we've got a great guest on the Real Estate Guys radio program. The Real Estate Guys are throwing a party, and you're invited. Join us at the New Orleans Investment Conference, November 20th to 23rd. Now in its 50th year, it's the nation's longest-running investment conference and features some of the biggest names in economics and investing, including James Grant, George Gammon, Danielle DiMartino Booth, Rick Rule, Lynn Alden, and Doug Casey. Plus, I'll be speaking in multiple sessions, attending lots of others. And the Real Estate Guys are hosting our annual invitation-only party one of the evenings for our friends and listeners, including some VIPs for you to mingle with. So make plans today to join the Real Estate Guys at the 50th Annual New Orleans Investment Conference. With all that's going on in the world, no serious investor can afford to miss it. Send an email to neworleans@realestateguysradio.com and we'll get you all the details. And I'll see you there. Welcome to the Real Estate Guys radio show. I'm your host, Robert Helms, already losing my voice on the Investors Summit at Sea. We took a week off for Father's Day and preparation for our big annual event. The next couple of weeks, we'll bring you shows from the summit with most of our incredible summit faculty. Oh my goodness, it's just starting and it's amazing. Today, we're going to think a little more long-term. Rather than just buy a property and flip it and make a few bucks, or hold a property for the production of income, not too many people realize you can own real estate with your retirement account. And to do so, you got to understand how the rules work and what the why behind it, the tax treatment. And while we can't learn it all in an hour show, we certainly can wrap our minds around the concept. If you think about what your retirement account is supposed to do, it allows you to put money away while you're earning it, live below your means, put a little away for those retirement years, and then the benefit of compounding and time means when you do retire, you've built up a nice little nest egg. Well, what if that egg could grow bigger and bigger and bigger? Partially because it's treated differently from a tax perspective, but partially because you have it in a massively better vehicle. That's the premise of today's show. So whether you're young and not even thinking about retirement, middle-aged, and you've already got some money in your retirement account, but you don't think too much about it because it's not accessible for a while, or you are nearing or in your retirement years, it is not too late. Today, we're going to learn about all kinds of strategies and tactics when it comes to investing. And today's guest is the author of the best-selling book in the space. It's called the Self-Directed IRA Handbook by Mat Sorensen. Matt's an attorney. And don't hold that against him. It's an interesting story about he took his legal firm and helped clients get into these kind of investments and then figured out a way to help even more. When we come back, you'll meet Mat Sorensen today on the Real Estate Guys radio program.
Hello, I'm Brian Tracy, and I'm here today with Robert Helms. He's one of the real estate guys, and he always has wonderful ideas to share with you that can improve your life, improve your income, and help you to achieve more than you ever thought possible.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Now in our 28th year of broadcast, you would have thought we'd run out of things to talk about, but today we've got a topic that is near and dear to my heart and something we haven't actually talked about on the show for a little bit, and that is how you can get your retirement account to work for you before you need the money and before you think about it. And for whatever reason, people don't tend to think about their retirement funds like the rest of their money. They put it off, it's for a rainy day, but the more you'll manage that ahead of time, the better job you can do taking care of building a financial fortress around your family. To help us understand that, let's welcome to the program our new friend, Mat Sorensen. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Hey, awesome. Thanks, Robert. I'm excited to be here. I've listened to many podcast episodes over the years. So I love talking about IRAs and 401ks. And I know a lot of people here might be like, this is a real estate podcast, Matt. That's for the mutual fund and stock guys. No, it's not. That's what I want to make sure everybody gets from a takeaway today. your IRA or 401k can buy real estate. There's like the single family rental. It could do private money lending, invest in a syndication. There's so many cool things it can do. And so hopefully we can share some of that today.
Yeah, as I've learned from you and your book, that there's more things you can do with your IRA than you can't, actually. And we'll get into the specifics about that. But not to scare anyone away, but you are an attorney. Take us through your journey, because you didn't start in this space, but you've got a fascinating background.
Yeah. So I became an attorney and kind of stumbled into this, actually. My law firm had a lot of real estate clients. We're a small law firm. I got a 50-50 partner, Mark Kohler. We've built it over the years. And we really cater to small business owners and real estate investors. Even still to this day, we have a 60-person firm now. Back then, we just had a lot of clients that would come to us, and primarily real estate clients, saying, hey, can I use my IRA to buy real estate? And we're like, yeah, we've heard about it. And I just hated that answer. Like, I kind of got out there and realized everybody in this had really just scratched the surface on like what you can and can't do. And so I just started helping a lot of clients, and really over like a 5 to 10 year window, I just became an expert on it. Just getting in the reps, doing the 10,000 hours type thing. I did all the consults, and then I ended up writing the #1 book in the field now, the Self-Directed IRA Handbook, and just became an expert on this really narrow area. But it was mostly real estate investors, frankly, just trying to use their own IRA and 401k dollars they'd already set aside and saved to invest in something they actually believed in, liked, and thought would get a better return than the mutual funds they'd been in.
Well, let's break down some of the paradigms here, because so many folks, they go get a job and the company tells them, oh yeah, we're going to match some dollars and we've got these 3 plans, and read this form and check this box. And they think, well, I don't need to worry about that because that's, years from now. But what you have figured out is that people can take a much more proactive approach. And maybe they don't realize how big this market is. We're talking about trillions of dollars, right?
Yeah. $38 trillion in U.S. retirement accounts. Isn't that insane? It's like
crazy.
The only time I use the word trillions, maybe like talking about the national debt and retirement accounts, right? Those are the 2 times. Yeah, there's so much money there. And it's just where Americans have been told to save. And I get it. You have a 401k in your day job or in your small business, and there's a match going in. And like, that's a lot of those matches. That's like 100% return on your money, right? You put in some money, the company you work at matches it. That's like an awesome rate of return on day one.
Yeah.
And so we like that. I like that as just a savings tool. But what if I could invest in something that I was better at, that I think could grow faster and give me better returns than I could get in the stock market? And that's where these self-directed retirements come about. And so it's interesting, actually, that $38 trillion, the largest category in that $38 trillion is already in IRAs. In the last 3 years, that has shifted from 401ks being the biggest. It used to be pensions, then it shifted to 401ks. Now it's shifted to IRAs, because what's happened is a lot of people have built up their IRAs and 401ks and left their jobs. People don't work at jobs anymore for 20 or 30 years, right? And so, but they roll them over to IRAs. And so most people, their money's actually in an IRA already. It's just at Fidelity or it's at TD Ameritrade. And we can get into how they actually access that to do real estate investing. But I think that just like from a setup standpoint for this concept, and why I think it's so fascinating is some of you listening might be like, I have a little sliver of that 38 trillion. And I actually would rather invest in stuff I know and believe in, like real estate. Some of you might be like, Matt, I don't have a retirement account, don't care for one, but I do still love real estate. This is for you too, because other people's money is in retirement accounts and they can invest in your deals, whether they're partnering in with you, you're raising capital, or they're lending money on your deals. I mean, accessing that 38 trillion doesn't have to be your account. They could be investing in your deals too. So it's a powerful topic for many people.
And I think the other part is people put their money in a company, and we can talk about, an in-service withdrawal, and the likelihood is not high that they can use those dollars. But the minute they self-direct, everything changes. So it's not that having your money in a company retirement account is bad. As you mentioned, things like matching are positive. But if you just set it and forget it, it's not going to perform like it could if you just managed it like you do your active portfolio. And that's the first step, is understanding that this isn't just a passive investment, even though it is your retirement account. So let's cover some of the basics, because it is a retirement account, self-directed, but you do have the issues of how you contribute, whether that's pre or post-tax, when you can start to withdraw. Take us through that part of it.
Yeah. So I think most people who come to self-directing have already saved in a IRA or 401k.
Yeah.
And so like I'd say 90% of people who open up a self-directed IRA have a pot of money. They're already part of this 38 trillion that's sitting there. And I kind of think you have two primary typical people who do this. The first is I've got an old employer 401k.
Yeah.
I'm 40. I've had a job that I put money in for 15 years, or I'm 50 or whatever. And I'm like, I can roll that over. I don't work there anymore. It's at Vanguard in the 401k plan there and some target date fund. I couldn't even tell you the name of it or what it owns, but right. I actually want to do a real estate deal. Those are easy. You can old employer 401ks, whether they're traditional or Roth, can get rolled into a self-directed IRA. And if it's a traditional old employer 401k, it gets rolled into a traditional self-directed IRA. The other candidate is someone that just has an existing IRA. And some people just put in, there's $6,500. It's currently $7,000 a year you can throw into an IRA. It's more likely, actually, it's an old employer 401k again, or retirement account that they saved in for a long time that they've already rolled to like a broker dealer, and they're just buying and selling stocks. But that group can also just move to a self-directed IRA. The problem with that group is they have a Fidelity IRA, let's say. And a lot of people will hear me and they're like, Matt, you said IRAs can buy real estate. And I called up Fidelity and I said I wanted to buy a rental property with my IRA. And they said I can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not because IRAs can't do it. That's because Fidelity IRAs can't do it, right?
Bingo.
They're a broker dealer. When you have an IRA with them, they let you buy what they sell, which is financial products, right? They don't sell real estate. So you got to move it, and there's no tax or penalty. So you'd move it from that broker dealer IRA to a self-directed IRA. Now, there's some people that are like, Matt, I don't have any retirement account dollars at all. I have nothing to move. Well, you can always start at zero. But for a lot of our self-employed clients, in particular, a lot of our real estate investor clients or entrepreneurs that have no employees other than maybe their business partner or family, we like to do what's called a solo 401k, which is kind of like this unique 401k for yourself. You can put $69,000 a year in it. You can self-direct it and do real estate deals. And that's kind of a good one for people that are starting at zero, that are self-employed, as we like to do the solo K. Now, there's the last category of people out there, unfortunately, that are, hey, I'm 40. All of my retirement account dollars are in my current employer 401k. And for those people, it's possible to do, and you mentioned it earlier, an in-service rollover. If you have a 401k at a place you're still employed at and you're not retirement plan age, you can do, it's possible you can do an in-service rollover where they let you take out a portion of it even while you're still working. But some companies will lock you down and say, until you either hit retirement plan age of 59 and a half or you quit, you're stuck with our investment options and you're stuck leaving it in the company plan.
And that kind of just is what it is, but it's worth asking about for sure. Now, Matt, you talked about, a traditional and a Roth, so no investor left behind. Most people are familiar with that terminology, but take us through the difference.
Yeah, in a traditional account, whether it's a traditional IRA or traditional 401k, when you put your money in, you get a tax deduction. And that's cool now. I save some taxes now. I put $7,000 in my IRA and I made $100,000 this year. Well, nope, I've got a $7,000 tax deduction. I only made 93 and I'm only taxed on 93 grand. For the traditional IRA, when I'm making money in an IRA, I don't pay taxes as I'm making money. I'm selling property. I'm selling stock. I'm getting rental income. I'm getting dividends. It doesn't matter. That's not taxable. It's not on your 1040. It's just growing and reinvesting in my retirement account. The downside on the traditional IRA is as I pull money out at retirement, I pay taxes. I'm pulling the money out, which is 59 and a half for later.
Yeah.
Now the Roth is, I'm a little more of a Roth fan myself, and we tend to have more Roth accounts than accounts. Is the Roth, when you put your money in, again, this is whether it's a Roth 401k or Roth IRA, I don't get a tax deduction. The government's like, cool, you put your money in a retirement account. We're not charging you any less tax this year. As I invest that account, I don't pay taxes. Same thing. Sell a property for a gain, rental income, I flip a property, whatever. I got to sell a stock. No tax in the Roth IRA as I'm building it up. The cool thing about the Roth, though, and why people love the Roth is it's tax-free on the way out. When I hit 59 and a half, I pull the money out totally tax-free. My largest client has a $400 million Roth IRA. That is a tax-free ATM. He's in his early 60s. For him, he accesses that money whenever the heck he wants. it's like awesome, right? And we definitely have the clients that have $100,000 accounts and the $1 million accounts and that stuff too. But that's the benefit of the Roth, is if you can grow it to a large amount, you gave up a tax deduction on the front end, which was a little more painful as you were saving and making money. But the ability to pull it out totally tax-free and really grow that account is pretty powerful. A lot of people say, I'd rather pay the tax on the seed, a little bit of money I put into it, than pay tax on the harvest and all the growth later on.
The traditional argument has been, well, when you're at retirement age and in a lower tax bracket, then, if the traditional IRA won't be taxed as high. I don't know about you. I never want to be in a lower tax bracket.
I don't want to be in a lower tax bracket because of my income,
Exactly. Billionaire Peter Thiel famously invested in early stage companies in his IRA, and now he's got tons of money that's tax-free. And of course, people look at that and say, well, that's a lot of money to have tax-free. But this is the whole thing about our topic today, is we're using the tax law in our favor. That's why the law is written. CPA Tom Wheelwright talks about the fact that just a few pages of the IRS code are about taxing you. The rest is all deductions and incentives. And this is a big incentive. If you pay the tax first in a Roth, so you're putting in after-tax dollars, then when it grows, and if you do it right, it's going to grow well over all those years, then it comes out without paying tax. And perfectly legal. Let's talk about, you hit the age thing. So there are ages that matter. You put your money in your retirement account of any kind, and you don't have use of that money until you mentioned 59 and a half. Talk about that side. When folks are nearing retirement and maybe they haven't gotten started with that, is it ever too late to start an IRA?
Yeah, this is the lawyer answer. I guess it depends a little bit, but I would say in general, no. Retirement accounts are your long-term wealth building. And, I'm a real estate guy just in general. I own real estate outside my retirement account. I own real estate in my retirement account. And so I like doing both just because I like the return of real estate. I like the asset category. I have a better competitive advantage in picking good real estate deals than I do stocks. That's me, that might be a lot of you. A lot of people sometimes get confused, like, well, Matt, are you saying only do real estate in your retirement account, or do real estate in your retirement account instead of doing real estate personally? No. I'm just saying there's $38 trillion in U.S. retirement accounts. There's also some pretty cool tax benefits to Roth accounts where you can make money tax-free. I'm just saying also do it in your retirement account. So some of you might be having real estate strategies or other investing strategies or income strategies now in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. The retirement account is the long-term wealth building tool. The nice thing about it, and you think of investing for a long time, even if it's a traditional or a Roth, is the ability to make money and reinvest every penny and not pay any tax to the IRS every year or to your state is pretty powerful. That is a huge difference in how much money you can have in 30 years, 20 years of investing, whatever your time horizon is, with a retirement account. And so it gives you a huge perk in terms of saving for the long haul. So think of it as a long-term wealth building tool, and the magic age is 59 and a half. Now, someone might be listening and are like, man, I'm 62 and I haven't done this at all. I've had tons of clients start in their 60s, even in their early 70s. Now, there is an age of 72. It's actually 73 now. It adjusts every year, where you need to take money out of a traditional IRA or 401k. There's a certain point for traditional accounts where the government's like, hey, we gave you a tax deduction to put it in. You grew this and didn't pay us any tax. We eventually need you to pay tax on this. So on traditional IRAs or 401ks, you have to start doing what's called required minimum distributions, where, you got to take maybe 4% out a year. You got to start chipping away at it to get it out over time. Roth accounts, by the way, when you hit age 73, this is the new required minimum distribution age, are exempt from this. So no required minimum distribution requirements for Roth accounts. So yeah, you're never too late. It's just what's your time horizon to save and what's the best strategy in your situation. The younger you are, the more times you have to compound the growth, of course. And so it becomes even that much more powerful for those in earlier years.
Obviously, our listeners are interested in real estate, and maybe you piqued their interest to say, wow, I didn't realize I could own real estate inside my IRA. But there are some things about it, right? If I buy property for cash, that's a way to do it. But what if I like leverage? There are some challenges. You can overcome these challenges, but there are some challenges with real estate in your IRA if there's a loan involved.
Yeah, there's two things you need to know. So if you're buying real estate with an IRA, you got to know two things when you leverage with debt. Like you said, if you're buying it with cash, it's a little more straightforward. And we have plenty of clients to do that. But I mean, I'll have clients come to me and they're like, Matt, I got 300 grand. I could buy one property outright, or I could buy three and get a loan.
Yeah.
And I'm generally like, let's buy three and get a loan. But you want to know two things. The first is when you get a mortgage on a property with an IRA, it has to be what's called a non-recourse loan. And basically what that means under these loan terms for IRAs is if the IRA gets a loan to buy a property and the IRA defaults, the lender can foreclose and take the property back, but they can't come after the IRA or they can't come after the IRA owner for any deficiency. And so there's specialty banks that do these loans. There's probably like 6 or 7 banks. They're on our website at directedira.com under our resource that have departments and loan officers. This is all the loan product they do. And they'll loan on single family, on small multifamily, on commercial, as long as it's income producing. And these are kind of like debt service coverage ratio loans where they're not looking at your credit. They're not looking at your income. They're looking at the property. What's the appraised value and what's the likely rental income versus expenses to make sure that it's going to cover the loan obligation, right?
Yeah.
Now, you also typically have about 30 to 40% down on those loans. This is not a 10 or 20% down type product. You're typically 30 to 40% down. So that's the first thing you need to know is it takes a unique type of mortgage. But for the person that's like, I got the 300K, I could buy one outright or do three. Now they got game to buy more properties. And I like that using the benefit of leverage, right? Because I can generate more return. I get all the appreciation on top of it, right? It's great. Okay, here's the second thing you got to know. There's a tax called UDFI. It's a version of UBIT. This is a little weird tax that can apply to retirement accounts. What UDFI stands for is unrelated debt financed income. And for anyone driving in the car right now, listen to the podcast. I don't want you to careen over the side of the road here. Okay. But I want to give the example and answer Robert's question. There's a chapter in my book. We got lots of resources. We got a guide too that I go into this as well. In UDFI, let's say you bought a property for 100 grand. You put 40,000 down from the IRA, 60,000 came from a loan from the bank. Let's say you make $10,000 on that. You sell it for a $10,000 gain after all the expenses. The IRS looks at that and says, all right, 40% of this deal was IRA money. Of that 10,000 gain, 40% that was 4K. You don't need to pay tax on that because that was retirement account money. That other 60% though, that wasn't retirement account money. We let you leverage and buy the asset, but you got to pay tax on the debt leverage that you use. And so they make you pay in that example on the sale of a property, the capital gains rate. So 60% of the property was leveraged with debt. 60% of the 10,000 gain is $6,000. You pay the long-term capital gain rate of 20%. On 6,000, it's $1,200 in tax, basically. So you get to use the benefit of debt leverage, but the IRS is kind of like, yeah, but we don't give you the no tax treatment on the debt piece. We'll let the retirement account get all the money, but you got to pay a little toll of tax over here. It's honestly the same thing. Like if Mat Sorensen just bought the property and I did 40% of the deal for my IRA and 60% of Mat Sorensen personally, it's kind of the same outcome, right? It's like, for that piece that was your retirement account money, we don't make you pay tax. But the piece that was not retirement account money, debt, or whether it was Mat Sorensen throwing in the money personally, or any other individual for that matter, you got to pay tax over on that side. So that's how UDFI works. A lot of people say, don't do real estate because of that. I'm like, why? I'm only paying tax when I make money. If I can multiply the amount of assets I can buy with my retirement account, whether that's real estate. By the way, in your brokerage account, you can't do that. Your broker dealer is not going to let you do a margin account or anything like that. They don't let you do that for your retirement accounts. If you could, wouldn't you leverage that to buy more assets too? So this is still pretty cool in my mind. So that is one thing you got to know if you want to leverage with debt. And also if you're in a syndication that leverages with debt or a partnership LLC where your IRA is one of 10 partners or something like that, your little piece of the debt trickles down to your share of the profits. And so you have to deal with it there too. But this is where you want to just be savvy about the rules and how it works. I still invest with it. And we have lots of clients, right? Of course, that are investing on debt leverage deals because they generate more yield overall. And that's what we want to focus on. What's the overall income or return that my IRA is going to get? And there's a lot of people that do self-directed investments in real estate that don't have this. One example is I mentioned solo Ks for self-employed people. You can have your own 401k plan, self-directed. It is exempt from this UDFI tax when you leverage. So I actually self-direct a 401k where I bought rentals with debt. I haven't had to pay UDFI because it's a 401k plan. IRAs get sucked into it. 401ks are exempted. So,
all right. Well, that's a great explanation. And when you hear it, it makes sense. Okay, I'm going to get the benefit on the part that actually is my retirement account and not on the leverage. But to your point, you're still getting those dollars to use and you've got preferential tax treatment. And if you have to pay some tax on the bank's money, well, that's all right. We're talking about your retirement and how you might consider self-directing an IRA with Mat Sorensen. We'll come back with more from Matt, and we'll play real estate trivia next. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Live nationwide, you're listening to the Real Estate Guys. Find out more at realestateguysradio.com.
Looking to achieve passive income through real estate investing? Well, let me introduce you to Jim Shields and our friends over at Southern Impression Homes. Jim and the team have worked with hundreds of investors in our community over the last decade to help make their rental property goals a reality. They only build new construction in high-growth, landlord-friendly markets in Florida and offer cutting-edge property management to help protect not only your assets, but your time. And to top it off, Southern Impression Homes offers in-house financing with mortgage rates as low as 4.75%. You can close on one of their new construction properties, either a single-family, duplex, or quad, in less than 30 days. Let Jim and the team help you achieve your goals of financial freedom like they've done for so many others. Check out their build-to-rent program by sending an email to sihomes@realestateguysradio.com. 1031 exchange buyers are welcome. That's sihomes@realestateguysradio.com.
With everything going on in the world, don't let your lack of financial understanding derail your investments. Real estate investors need to see the bigger economic picture. The Federal Reserve, bonds and interest rates, precious metals, oil and gas, cryptocurrency, and the inner workings of monetary policy, just to start. If you're at all confused about how and why market metrics intersect and what it means to you as a real estate investor, take your understanding to a new level with the Future of Money and Wealth video collection. Discover the opportunity to hedge against inflation, deflation, and stagflation. Gain critical insights on real estate niches that perform well in challenging times, and learn specific strategies to fortify your balance sheet before it's too late. Simply send an email to future@realestateguysradio.com for all the details. The Future of Money and Wealth includes 20 videos of powerful presentations and panel discussions featuring Robert Kiyosaki, Peter Schiff, G. Edward Griffin, Dr. Doug Duncan, Simon Black, CPA Tom Wheelwright, Brian London, Dr. Chris Martenson, and many more. Email future@realestateguysradio.com today.
Hi, this is Chris Martenson, author of Prosper, and you are listening to The Real Estate Guys.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program. Thanks for tuning into the show. Hey, join us at the New Orleans Investment Conference in November. It is the 50th annual conference. We're going to have a great time. The speakers are incredible. And one of the nights, we'll do the infamous Real Estate Guys party. To find out more and get registered, just send an email to New Orleans at realestateguysradio.com. New Orleans at realestateguysradio.com. We're talking about retirement riches with real estate. We've got Mat Sorensen with us. He's written the best-selling book on investing in your IRA, and we're about to give away a copy for real estate trivia. In just a minute, I'll give you a trivia question that has something to do with real estate and what's going on in the world of sports right now. As soon as you hear the question, you're going to get your best answer off to us in an email. Send it to trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Give us your name, your mailing address, and the answer to the question. The first person that gets it right gets an autographed copy of the Self-Directed IRA Handbook by Mat Sorensen. Before we give you this week's trivia question, last week we asked this: which U.S. state has the most lakes? Well, the answer is Alaska. With its sheer size, it's no surprise Alaska has the most lakes in the country, with about 3,200 officially named natural lakes and another 3 million unnamed natural lakes. Number 2 behind Alaska is Michigan, followed by number 3, Florida. Here's our real estate trivia question for this week. It's hockey season, and as we're recording, it's still undecided who's going to win the Stanley Cup. Here's what we want to know. What city, that's the real estate part, is home to the NHL team that has won the most Stanley Cup championships? Still some teams that have never won a Stanley Cup, lots that have won it more than once. What city is home to the hockey team that has won the most Stanley Cups? If you know, or just want to guess, send your best guess to trivia@realestateguysradio.com, trivia@realestateguysradio.com. Give us your name, the answer to the question, and your physical mailing address, so that if you're the winner, we can ask Matt to autograph a copy of his book just for you, the Self-Directed IRA Handbook. That's today's real estate trivia question. We're with the author of that best-selling book, Mat Sorensen, talking about self-directed IRAs. And Matt, you started to delve into this area as an attorney, focused on clients building their wealth and saving on tax, and it made a ton of sense. And all that research turned into this amazing book. And furthermore, you discovered there was a need for a really important part of what we're talking about. That's the custodian. So directed IRA, this is what you guys do. Talk about how someone who's going to have the benefit of using their retirement account in this way needs to have a custodian involved, and how that works.
Yeah. So an IRA is required to have a custodian by law. And a custodian needs to be a bank, a credit union, or a trust company. And so we're a trust company. And a lot of people are familiar with the IRA custodian being like the Fidelity, the TD Ameritrade, right? When you have an account with them, yes, that's an IRA account. And sometimes they even call it a self-directed IRA because you can pick whatever stock you want. That's the self-directed piece for them. But what you need to do is you need to get a provider of IRAs that lets you invest in any asset allowed by law. And so at Directed IRA, we're one of those companies that says, you want to buy real estate, you want to do private money lending on real estate, you want to invest in a syndication, you want to invest in a small business and a private fund. All those things are assets your IRA can own. You just can't do it with the broker-dealer IRA. Yeah. So you want to move, and that was kind of where we came in. And, I wrote the book first. This is the number one book in the space. It's sold 50,000 copies. I represented half of the self-directed IRA industry as their outside lawyer.
Right.
And honestly, I had to send my own clients to these companies that didn't do a great job. They didn't take care of their customers. They didn't have well-trained staff. I was doing the job of them. They're like asking me at $600 an hour as a lawyer, what form to fill out. I'm like, your IRA custodian should be helping with this. Yeah. So I eventually realized I just got to start my own company, help my own clients. We can do it better. And so that's what we did. End of 2019, our first year we started. And we're the fastest growing company in the space, highest rated for customer service. And we opened 750 new accounts this most recent month. That's in 1 month. But we're taking care of our customers at the same time, managing the growth. Don't feel like it's like a bad, but there's a reason people are attracted to us versus a lot of our competitors. And it's just the way we serve our clients. We care about it. Like I self-direct my own retirement account. You know what I mean? All the stuff I talk about, I do. Like we're like the chef eating their own food. You know what I mean? And we just approach it that way from the self-directed customer standpoint. Like, what does a self-directed customer want? We try to just make it easy. And so that's why we really started it and what we're trying to solve for people, because let's be honest, the real reason people have a broker-dealer IRA is not because they want those investments. It's because it's easy.
Right.
And so we're over here being like, well, you can buy real estate. It's not an easy button, but we can make it a lot easier than many of our competitors and all of our competitors, I'll say. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to simplify and make it easy. We do e-sign. We've simplified the process. We've tried to get out kinks and systems that some of our competitors have and streamline it for customers. So,
well, having met several of your clients, it's clear you guys have figured this out. You were kind enough to invite me to an event you were speaking at and hosting. And the conversations I got on with people, they just love the service and the fact that you continue to educate them. We'll talk about your podcast before we're done. But I think the other part is this is still, as long as this has been going on, it's still an area where people aren't sure. So a great resource course, if you didn't win the book, you should go out and get the book because it'll help get your head around it. There are a few more things we'll talk about in terms of what you need to know. And then before we're done, Matt's got a free report that he's going to make available to our listeners. It'll give you some more details. So let's talk about the fact that you've got a few things that you can't invest in and a few people you can't partner with. As you know, we teach real estate syndication, and a lot of our syndicators look to folks who have money in their retirement accounts to invest, but there are some limitations there. So quickly take us through those, Matt.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to be clear is you're not buying like property that you're going to live in, So when we say buying real estate, we're talking about an investment real estate. You're holding it for investment purposes, whether it's a rental or some other investment objective. This is not for personal use. Yeah. And I even get the clients that are buying short-term rentals, which you could do. You could do short-term rentals in your IRA 401k. And even if there's nobody staying there for a week, you still can't stay there. So there's something called the prohibited transaction rules that restrict you from having benefit or use of assets your IRA owns. And for real estate, that means you can't stay in it.
And this makes sense if we think about what a retirement account is. It's money we're putting away today to enjoy later. So I can't have a current benefit. I can't go stay in my vacation property. If you want to have a short-term rental that you want to stay in, well, we'll own that, in your outside life, but not here.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was that was the logic behind it. Sometimes there's a little bit of logic in the tax code, actually.
Yeah.
It's rare, but sometimes it's there. But also these certain people are restricted too. Like your parents are restricted, right? Your kids are restricted. So if like you buy a rental in the college town, your kid's going out, your kid can't stay there. All right. Your spouse is prohibited and restricted on the rules. And this for people in Utah, it's like all of your spouses too,
But not all of your family.
But not all of your family. So like your siblings are okay. So, and I have this all the time. I'll have some client that's a real estate, that does real estate deals and they're acquiring properties you need rehab. And they're like, yeah, my sister's IRA loaned me the money for the rehab. I secured it on the property, did a private money loan. And that's totally fine because siblings are not restricted under the rules. So also like your aunts and uncles and cousins or more distant family are totally fine. It's just kind of like your parents, kids, spouses of kids, and then your spouse that are the typical ones on the do not transact with list. It's kind of like the do not call list. It's like, don't transact with these people with your IRA.
And then there's also a few categories of investment. Obviously, we have folks interested in real estate, but you can use your retirement account to invest in all kinds of stuff. I'm sure you have some awesome stories about that. But what are the things you can't actually invest in with your retirement account?
So there's very few. And that's the nice thing is the biggest restriction is who you're transacting with. That's really the big restriction, which is that prohibited transaction rule. What you can buy, the only restrictions are going to be S corporation stock. IRAs just don't qualify as an S corporation shareholder. Now, IRAs can own LLCs, and we do that all the time. We have IRAs that own what sometimes people call a checkbook IRA, where their IRA owns an LLC 100%. They're the manager. They have a bank account, and that LLC goes out and does deals. So IRAs can definitely own LLCs or limited partnerships. Obviously, they can own C Corps. That's what your IRA does when it buys Apple stock, But S Corps are just off the table. IRAs can't own life insurance. I don't know anyone who's listening to this trying to learn how to do that, but you can't own life insurance.
Right.
And then collectibles. Collectibles were like this thing you could invest in with your IRA initially when they created the rules, but there was a lot of abuse of it, right? People were buying like collectible cars that they would actually drive, or they'd buy art that's on the wall in their office. And there's this kind of concern. It's like, is this really personal benefit use as opposed to an asset held for investment? Like the wine collections were turning into bottle collections, And so they kind of restricted collectibles and said, you just can't own collectibles. But as far as real estate, it's wide open. I mean, it just can't be for personal use. As long as it's held for investment purposes, the real estate's wide open, whether this is an option, wholesaling a deal, private money lending, single family rental, commercial, syndications, little partnership LLCs with a small group of people. This is all fair game for your IRA.
Yeah, love that. Okay, well, let's take folks through what it takes to get started. Whether you've never done this and you just want to open an account, you guys make it super easy. Or if you have to do that rollover, what does an account like this cost? How long does it take to get set up? Take us through the basics there.
Yeah. So we really say it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-step process. Step 1 is open your account. And so we'll have a link here. You can go directedira.com. We have a special discount. You save $50 for any real estate radio listeners. Step 1 is just open the account. And we have an e-sign application. You can book a call with one of our team members to go through it and answer any questions. We have an amazing team. But you can open the account in 5 minutes. If you're ready to go, you can open it online in 5 minutes. Okay. Step 2 is you got to fund the account. Now, most people are moving money over from their Fidelity IRA or their old employer 401k, but we got to get the money into the account. Now, again, you might be at zero and be like, well, I got to just throw 1 year of contributions in of $7,000. Okay. Now, I don't know if you got a deal for $7,000. We certainly have clients that wholesale properties or do options, or they can do deals for $7,000. Mat Sorensen, I can't. My first deal, it took me 3 years of contributions and it was $40,000, right? So it took me a while to get enough money. And some of you that are starting at zero, you might need to do that. Now, the solo K I mentioned earlier, that you can drop $69,000 in it in a year if you have enough income. And so for any of you self-employed that are like, well, I'm starting at zero. Well, it's a little different for you. You can drop a lot of money in to do a deal immediately. Okay. So we open the account. We got to fund it, whether it's transfer, rollover, or new contribution. And then step 3, you got to invest it. And so we have just a direction of investment form that says, hey, invest my money into this deal. Now, there's a couple of options that clients have when they're investing. Your IRA can either own the asset directly, or a lot of real estate clients actually have their IRA own an LLC 100%, and the LLC goes out and does the investing. I actually do that structure. We call it an IRA LLC. My IRA owns an LLC 100%. I'm the manager of the LLC. I don't own it, but the LLC has a bank account. My IRA invests the cash into that LLC bank account. And now when I'm out transacting, I'm just transacting in the name of the LLC, XYZ Investments LLC. It's going to buy property. It's in the name of the LLC, and I have the bank account. I don't get to use the bank account money because it's really owned by the IRA, not by me. But I can manage the investments a little easier. Buying property at auction, I'm rehabbing a property. I just want to be a little more connected to the landlord-tenant stuff, whatever it is. A lot of clients like the LLC. Now, you can buy it directly out of your IRA, but when you buy it in your IRA, we're on title. So like you buy a rental, for example, it's going to be the ownership's going to be the name of Directed Trust Company, FBO Mat Sorensen IRA, right? That's what's on title. Not you, not your personal LLC you might use for other real estate investing. But when you buy it directly in your IRA, it's on the right. So once you get to that third option of investing, you have that choice of, do I use an LLC or do I just do it directly out of the IRA?
All right. Well, hey, this has been great stuff. There is so much more here. And to that end, Matt, you put together an awesome little report for our listeners. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of going to go over what you need to know. Like, I've got my book, by the way, the Self-Directed IRA Handbook, but that might take you a few nights. All right. That could take a weekend. But it's, it's 16 chapters. It's awesome. And many of you, like the engineers and stuff, you need that book.
You're going to want all the details.
Everyone else, I think this is the best place to get started. So you know what you need to know. What are my options? What are a lot of the common questions that you're going to have? I know we've done the 10,000 consults. And then what are those strategies a lot of people are using? They're being successful self-directing. So that's where you'll kind of learn in the report. It's 5 pages. It gets to the point. We got some good graphics too to make it a little more digestible. All
right. When we come back, we'll tell you exactly how you can get that at no charge. And we'll include a link so you can pick up the book. Make that easy for you too. Now, before we get out of here, Matt, you guys have an event coming up. As a custodian, you really can't tell people what to invest in. But because you're in this business, you know a lot of companies that are providing great alternative investments, I guess we'll say. Tell us about your event.
Yeah, we got the Alt Asset Summit. It'll be in Scottsdale in October. But that's a 2-day event. And we just have a lot of alternative asset providers, whether this is oil and gas, single family real estate, commercial real estate. We always have some syndicators there, some private credit or note investing people, small business investing, private equity, angel and venture capital investing. I mean, these are all things people IRAs are investing into. Real estate is the most common. I'd say it's about 60% of the self-directed industry, some form or fashion of real estate. There's a lot of other stuff in there and just the business side of things too. So it's a great place to learn and network. Also meet other self-directed investors. The main audience is pretty much our account owners who are existing self-directed investors, or they're looking to learn about other deals or opportunities that are out there. So there's a little golf tournament in connection with it as well.
So the event takes place October 24th and 25th in beautiful Arizona. I'm going to be there, so come on and join us. We'll also provide a link when you send for Matt's report. Great stuff. And Final Jeopardy. Tell us about your podcast, Matt.
Yes, our podcast. Thank you. We have 2 podcasts, actually. Why not? Just have 2. So we have the Main Street Business Podcast I do with my partner, my law firm partner and business partner, Mark J. Kohler. We've been doing that for years, 2.5 million downloads, and have a great time. That's more about general tax, legal, wealth building. And then the Directed IRA podcast, which is more niche and specialty, is more about investing and using self-directed retirement accounts. And for anyone that's like, especially on this topic, is like, I really want to dive deeper on this, listen to the first 10 episodes of the Directed IRA podcast. We kind of cover a lot of the FAQs and things to know. So, but those are our podcasts, and I got to get you on as a guest on those.
All right, man. Well, we sure appreciate you having on the show, and thanks for sharing with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Robert.
There's Mat Sorensen. More when we come back. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Need help with your real estate investment portfolio? Check out the resources page at realestateguysradio.com.
As I speak, inflation is robbing you at a rate north of 10%. Last year, the number 1 zip code that Mid-South homebuyers offered income property to Real Estate Guys listeners in appreciated by 21%. To harness that spread and protect and grow your wealth in the current economic storm, you need the 2 decades of experience in renovation and management that Mid-South homebuyers brings to their investors. Every home Mid-South offers you will have brand new components, a new 30-year roof, and a high-quality renter, all in a price range under $150,000. Their empathetic property managers will use your ROI as their North Star, while the lack of repairs on their totally renovated properties contributes to their almost 4-year average renter stay and 99% occupancy rate. Learn about their lifetime occupancy guarantee and total 1-year maintenance guarantee by emailing midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. That's midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Garrett Sutton.
And I'm Ted Sutton.
And we're the father and son legal team at Corporate Direct.
Are your assets protected? We live in a litigious society.
One lawsuit and you could lose everything.
You need the professional and affordable asset protection from Corporate Direct.
And now, on top of protecting your assets, the government has a new disclosure requirement called the Corporate Transparency Act, or CTA.
If you don't file the CTA form on time, the penalties are $10,000 and 2 years in jail.
At Corporate Direct, we can help you get through this new government maze.
We offer a free 15-minute consultation with an incorporating specialist on forming a corporation or LLC.
And we can help with your CTA filings. Remember, the penalties for not filing are steep. We're here at Corporate Direct to help.
To learn more and get connected to Garrett and Ted, send an email to act@realestateguysradio.com. That's act@realestateguysradio.com.
Hey, this is David Green, author of Long Distance Real Estate Investing and The Burr Book, and host of the Bigger Pockets podcast. And you are listening to the Real Estate Radio Guys.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program, now in our 28th year of broadcast and in the middle of our 22nd annual Investors Summit at Sea. Next week, we will bring you guests from the summit and we'll give you the dates for next year so you can get signed up to join us. Well, great stuff from Mat Sorensen, really impassioned guy. He got into the business in kind of a different way, right? As an attorney helping real estate investors figure this unique part of the tax code out. And today his company, Directed IRA, is helping lots of people put their retirement funds to work in non-traditional assets, alternative stuff, of which real estate is the biggest. Matt's put together an awesome ebook called The Top 7 Things to Know About Investing in Real Estate with Your IRA. If you'd like to get a copy of that, plus a link to be able to order his full book and learn about the alternative asset event, just send an email to directed@realestateguysradio.com, directed@realestateguysradio.com. Well, before we get out of here, it is time for another edition of Market Spotlight. As you know, Market Spotlight normally focuses on a real estate market. Today, a type of real estate investing, and to share that with us, let's welcome the real asset investor, Dave Zook. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, my friend?
All right. Good to be back.
Always good to have you on the show, and you're always doing something interesting. I mean, resort property, uranium, ATM, self-storage. Let's talk about one of the unique market niches that you guys have found out, and that is investing in car washes. How does that work?
Well, it is an interesting space for sure. The car wash space has evolved over the last decade, really. And tunnel car washes are the new thing. When you look at the 60,000 plus car washes that are out there, mostly owned by mom and pop operators.
Yeah.
And you realize where the trend is going, it's in tunnel car washes. And so it's been interesting to watch. It's very interesting to be a part of.
Now, one of the fascinating things that I've learned from you is in the old days, you know, you decide your car's dirty, you take it to a car wash and you drive it through and you pay and you're good. But today, you guys actually focus on memberships. Explain the brilliance of that.
Well, the whole thought is, you know, it can be rainy, it can be snowy, it can be, you know, the kind of weather where traffic through a car wash, you know, is going to be minimal. The beauty of the subscription model, the membership model, is you're making money regardless. And while we don't like to be 100% subscriber base, a healthy mix for us is we like to be about 60% subscribers and 40% retail. Because, you know, well, there's a number of reasons, but obviously you get more margin from a retail buyer, but you have that consistent revenue. When somebody signs on for their membership, it may cost you $1 or $2 to wash their car. And normally that person is coming through the car wash about 3 to 4 times a month. Yeah. So you can do the math. You know, you look at a $20, anywhere from a $20 membership up to a $40 membership, and you can sort of do the math there and see, you know, about what that margin looks like. But then when you go retail and you have that retail client come in, it gets even better.
Now, Dave, this really is a real estate play. Talk about that. What you guys do is you find not just any piece of land, but a really strategic piece of land to put one of these brand new car washes on.
One of the things that we really try to look out for is we know we've got the best product. If you go to any car wash in the country, Tommy's Express they're the big boys in the room. They got the best product. They got patented equipment. You know, they won awards for the equipment. So we got that taken care of. We know we got the best product. So now we just need to make sure we don't get out-locationed, meaning, you know, the only way we're going to get beat in a market is if somebody comes along and they have better ingress, egress, you can get in and out quicker. It's more convenient. You're right there in the action. You know, you don't want to drive across, you know, you don't want to go a half a mile from where all the action is happening to get your car washed. This is a 2 to 3 minute thing. You get in off the road, you get back on the road in 2 to 3 minutes. And so you just want to make sure, we want to make sure that we don't get, you know, out locationed, and we want to be in that best part of town. We want to be in the best street corner, the corner Main and Main. And so, you know, that's where our focus is. And, you know, one of the things we realize, what do you got to do to be in the best part of town? You got to pay a premium for that real estate. You know, real estate, you pay for it one time. You reap the benefits over the next, 10, 20, 50 years. And so we're willing to pay a premium for the real estate. We just want to make sure we're in the best corner in town.
Now, speaking of towns, you have these Tommy's Express car washes in lots of locations. How do you decide when a market is right for this product?
So there's plenty of studies out there that you can do and that we do. It's very important to us that we pick the right markets. And I'll give you an example. So we got into the San Antonio market. Our studies told us that San Antonio was one of the most underserved markets in the country of any major MSA. And so what did we do? We had to be in that market. It was one of those situations where you just couldn't go in and say, okay, I want to be there. And then you draw a circle on a map and you say, okay, that's now our market. No, we had to go in and pay a premium for an existing Tommy's Express car wash that was already there. So, it's one of those relationships when you take down a market with Tommy's Express, they want you to own that market. You can't just go and put one Tommy's Express car wash there and then call it a day. That's your thing. They want you to own that market. So we had a grand opening in San Antonio about 6 weeks ago. And we're having 2 more grand openings in the next 60 days in San Antonio. So we're building out that market. And our plan is to not have them be way underserved in the tunnel car wash market for very much longer. We're going to take care of that problem.
Awesome. Well, there's lots to learn about car washes. Dave's put together a real cool report. You can get all the details, learn how you can invest in one of these things. Just send an email to carwash@realestateguysradio.com. carwash@realestateguysradio.com. There's the real investor making America cleaner by one car at a time. Thanks, Dave.
All right, you got it. Thanks for having me, Robert.
There's Dave Zook, the real asset investor. Good, clean fun and soapy profits from car washes. Hey, thanks to Dave for sharing his time with us today, and to Mat Sorensen. If you want to join me at Matt's Self-Directed IRA Alternative Asset event, it happens in October. You can get all the details and Matt's ebook by sending an email to directed@realestateguysradio.com, directed@realestateguysradio.com. Don't be overwhelmed by the requirements, the rules, or the restrictions when it comes to using a self-directed IRA. There are trillions of dollars out there. This also works great for syndicators who are looking to help people put their IRA funds to work. So spend a little time, get your mind around it, and let's face it, pay less tax. Next week on The Real Estate Guys, we'll be live from the 22nd Annual Investors Summit at Sea. We've got some incredible guests for you. Until then, go out and make some equity happen.
This episode of the Real Estate Guys radio show is brought to you by Paradigm Life. Powerful cash management strategies using life insurance. Learn more at beyourbank.com. Mid-South Home Buyers, low-cost, turnkey cash flow properties in Memphis, Tennessee. Corporate Direct, asset protection strategies for real estate investors from attorney and rich dad advisor Garrett Sutton. Find these and other great companies under the Resources tab at realestateguysradio.com. To learn how you can expose your product or service to the Real Estate Guys audience, call 888-489-7723 extension 4. That's 888-489-7723 extension 4. Or use the feedback page at realestateguysradio.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week right here on the Real Estate Guys radio show.